Okay, now so let's see how we can add the shadow effect that Elementor gives us the ability to add. But before we do that, let's change up some of these images. Click on this and click here and choose another image and change this guy. Click here again and choose another image for that. You can call this anything you want. Brand developer. UI expert. Just writing anything. Okay, so now we have three different images in this section. So let's add a little more room, okay, between these images. So to do that, we're going to apply margin to the columns. So I click on edit column, I go to advanced, and here is the margin. And I need to apply margin to the right and then to the left. If I do not unlink this, it's going to apply everywhere. And let me just show you. If I do 20, it's going to apply everywhere. There's going to be margins applied everywhere. But if I unlink this, then I could remove the top and bottom margin and leave the top margin. Now I can apply the same thing to these other guys. Go to advanced, 20 to the right and 20 to the left. If that's a little more than you need, if that's plenty room, you can still reduce that. Okay, you can do whatever you want, 20 to the right, 20 to the left. Okay, I'm going to update and close this panel just to see what it looks like. Okay, it's not looking very bad. It's okay. Yeah, it's all right. So what I'm going to do next is to see if I could add that margin. But I'm noticing something now. You see that the text itself kind of stretches. Okay, but this margin we've added kind of made the text to kind of compress further. That is because we added it to the whole column, right? Now, if you want to change that, if I go back here, for example, and I remove these margins and make it as it was before, I can still add margin to this image specifically. I click on the image, I go to advanced, and here I could do same 2020. That way the text themselves still remains, okay, just like this one right here. Okay, I think that's cool. So let me quickly do that on the other ones. Remove this and add it here to the image itself. 20 to the right, 20 to the left. Remove it from the column and add it to the image. Twenty to the right and also to the left. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's looking much similar to what we have here. Okay, now so let's do that shadow thing and see what can be done. I click on the image, then I go to style. Under the style, if I scroll down, I'm going to see this box shadow. Just click on this edit icon, and then you see, if I close this panel, you see that there's a shadow effect around the image. Okay, you can further edit this shadow effect. You could change the color. The color right now is set to gray. You can change it. You can change the horizontal dimension of it, and you can change even the vertical. So if you wanted it to be something like this, you could do that. You can change this color to anything else you want. That's somehow reddish. You could even make it white if you want, but we already have a white background, so that's not going to be cool. Okay, so you can do whatever you want. I just wanted to show you this option here for shadow effect on images. I'm not going to use the shadow effect. You can if you want. It's cool. I'm going to remove it. To remove it, just click on this back to default icon. Click on that. The shadow effect is gone. There are other things you can do to your images though. So if you go through these options, you can see what you can do. You can apply opacity to it. You can create a hover effect by clicking on this hover. Maybe add an animation. Let's say we want it to push. So when someone hovers over it, you see that the image kind of pushes. I'm going to click this to remove it. You can play around and do whatever you want, but I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. So the next thing we are going to do is to add this section right here. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Let me preview my changes first. Okay, 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 so let's add that section. Scroll down. Now, a quick one. What do you think we need here? Column of how many, a section of how many columns? You could do two, you could do one, but I'm just gonna do one because I can just align my text to go to the right. So let's go ahead and do just that. Okay. Elementor, click on this one column section. I like to add this first, so let me add some spacing first just to have room. 100 to the top and 100 to the bottom. Okay, so what else? We've got a background image. Okay, so let's quickly add that. Or before we add a background image, let's just add the text that we have. We have a heading. Align that to the right. If you check again, you see that we have this divider and then we have a text editor. So let's bring in the divider first. Click on here, bring in the divider. Okay, so before, let me just reduce that to about 5 and also right align that. Lastly, we have to bring in a text editor. Drag that and drop it in here. And also, I'm going to align that to the right. Now we have some content. So let's go ahead and add a background image. Click on the section, go to style, go to background, click on the classic. Now if you wanted to use a background video, you just click on this. Let me just quickly do that and show you what it will look like. So I click on this video. Let me grab a YouTube link somewhere. YouTube, what shall I bring up now? This is a creative website, right? A website of a creative. So let me look for a video that kind of describes that. Let me search for creative. Creative. What shall I see? Oh, let me just look for something else. Let me say beach surfing. All right, so I could grab any of these guys. Let's do this guy. I could just grab this link right here. Go back here. Here on the video link, I paste that. And I'm gonna have a video background. Click on update. You can even set the start time. You can set an end time. You can set it to play once, or if you don't set that, it's going to keep looping and keep playing again. You can set it to play on mobile, or you can remove that. You can have a background fallback so that when the video doesn't play, you can have an image as a background fallback. You can even add an overlay to the video itself. But let's preview and see what is happening. Uh-oh, our background video is not showing up. So what could be wrong? Let's go check that out. Is this link working at all? Alright, this is playing. Let me take this again. Go back here. Oh, so what happened? Why did it take so long? Okay, so you get the idea now. I set it to 10 seconds. It starts playing on the 10 seconds. So you can see that my text is not readable. I can change that by adding a background. If I add if sorry, not a background, an overlay. So if I make a white overlay, for example, then this dark text can pop up more. But we're not going to be using video background. I just wanted to show you how to do that just in case you wanted to do that. Okay, so I am going to be using the normal background that is related to the template we are using, which is an image. Okay, so let's grab a background. What image are we going to use now? Let's use this one. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is to, okay, now let's get this size first to make that cover. And next, the attachments, you notice right here that it is fixed. It doesn't scroll with the section, it's just there. So let's make ours also fixed. So the attachment is going to be fixed and not scroll. Repeat, we don't want it to repeat, so we'll put a no repeat. So that would be all for now. In the background, you notice is not scrolling, is fixed. So now let's edit our texts. Let me just copy what we have here. Get the gear that never gives up. Okay, paste that in here. Get the year that never gives up. Let's do a 55 for that. Text color, by the way, is white. For the size, let's do 55. Now you notice something that it's okay. Let me just add an overlay first so you can see what I'm showing you. Go back to the section, click on this, and go back to the background, close this, and open the overlay. On the overlay, I'm gonna do the classic. I'm gonna choose black, and I'm gonna make this 0.3. Yeah, I think that's cool. Okay, so let me close this guy. Now what you notice here is that our text goes all the way like this. Our text goes all the way like this. But what we want to do is to make it seem or look exactly like this. So what we're going to do is to add an extra column. So how do you add an extra column when you already started with one column? Easy. All you have to do here is click on the column itself, which is this button right here. Similar to what we've done before, right click on it and duplicate. Now when you duplicate that, you can come over to this other side and delete every content you have here. Now we still have to delete this guy. So now we are left with this. Let me close this panel. We are left with this, and it's looking more like this guy, but let's make that even bigger, our text, and then edit the other ones too. So go back to the text, go to the styling, typography. Let's do a 75 and see what comes. Kind of big. Okay, let's do this. Okay, and for the weight, let's make it 300. Let me see what else we can do here. Okay, let's do that. 70 is fine. For the divider, let's make it white. What's the color they used here? White. So let's make ours white. The divider has to be white, so we'll go to the style, click on the color, and choose white. Now I always like to make this a little thicker, say 2, being the width, and I think we want to make this more than 5. Let's do a 10. Okay, that's cool. Now the next thing we have to edit is this guy. Go to style, give it a color of white, then to the typography, let's do 20, and that is looking good. See what we've got here. That's what we've got is actually looking cool, but let's reduce this from 20. Let's reduce it way down to let's see, I think 17 is fine. So I'm going to update these. Now we have a third section. We have a third section, guys. Okay, refreshing. What next do we have to do? Okay, we have to create this section. That's what we have to create next. And if you can guess, right, and I know you already know how this works. This is one section, one big section, right, with an inner section of 2, or you could just go with with a section with two columns, which is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to use a single section with two columns. So I'm not going to use any inner section for this guy. Just one section with two columns. That's what I'm going to do here. So I go back to Elementor editor. Then I add the single section with two columns. Single section with two columns. As always, I like to give it some room first before I continue with anything else. Sometimes I come back to change it up, but let me start with giving it some room to the top and to the bottom. The top, let's do what? It doesn't look like they have much room here. Looks like a 50. Let me just do a 50. I might change this up later. Okay, so they have an image on the left column. So let's drag in the image widget here. Let's use this image here. Let's insert. And now we also have an image on the left column. And on the right, they have a heading, a divider, and a text editor with bullet points, and then a button. So let's do that. They have a heading. They've got a divider. So drag that here. That didn't work. Drag it again. And then last, not last, next it would be text editor. The last should be button. So under, yeah. So the last would be the button. Drag the button here under. Let me just drag this guy up. You can always reorder anything. Okay, now let's quickly edit this and let's just copy and paste. You can use your fancy headlines that sells your products or services best, okay? Because we're just working um, on the sample demo to show you how to do this. We're just going to copy and paste. That's a black. What else? Let's make these 55. Too big. Too big. Let's leave it that. Let's do 300. Is it too small? Okay, it's not bad. The divider, let's make that a 10. A 10 is fine. And let's do 2 here. Yeah. So for, is there any special? Okay, they have some cool and style in here. Let me just copy this first. Here. You can do things like add links. You can even work full screen if you want. You can make your text bold, italic. What else? You can use bullet points, okay, numbered list and all that. So our bullet point is gonna work just fine. Just copy and paste that, and you see it's already showing up great. So they have this effect here, similar to what we did at first. Okay, green background, white text, on hover it becomes a black text and gray background. So let's do that real quick. So it's kind of this. Let's change the text to make it typography, to make it uppercase. What else can we do? Okay, no, uppercase is fine. Scroll down, make this guy have some letter spacing. Okay, that's cool for now. So let's do the stuff. The text should be white. The background should be blue because we're working with blue, right? And on hover, the text should be black, and the background should be gray. Gray. That gray is too thick. You know what? Let me add my own gray. Okay, I think this is better. Okay, so I'm gonna update that. It's looking like what they have, but if you notice, they have good spacing here. Very cool and good spacing. So if you want to have that here, you can click on this and styling and typography. Scroll down to line height. Yeah. So we can do 2, we can do 2.5. So you get the idea. You can do whatever you want here till you get um so you get what you want. Okay. Okay, let me further reduce this. Click on that, go to typography, let's do a 35. Now you notice everything is not perfectly aligned anymore. The image is kind of hanging here, and this other column, the text is fine, but the button is kind of coming down. But they have everything here kind of well aligned and all that. The image seems bigger, so you may want to work on a few things. Here, what I think I need to work on is the spacing at this spot here. So to work on that spacing, the first thing I can do is to click on this guy. It has a default gap of 15. I could just remove that. And secondly, I want to further remove some spacing. So I'm going to click on the text editor and go to the advanced tab. And I want to drag it up. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to unlink this. And then to the top bar, I'm going to add 20. That should push it down. But if I add a minus sign, it drags it up. You see that? If I add this minus sign, drags it up. Okay, now we have our button aligned with the heading and the image. So everything is looking okay now. Something else you can do to always make sure that everything is well balanced is to click on this section, go to the layout, and you can do on the vertical align, you can choose middle. That way everything here and everything here is just going to be aligned to the middle. Okay, so that is that. I can update this now. We are done with that section. Let's preview and see what it looks like. Scroll down. Oh, our website is looking awesome already. Amazing stuff. Okay, now you get the idea. I'm sure that by yourself you can do these other ones. Nothing hard. This is a section with a single column and an inner section with a 3 column, and then a background image and a white color overlay. That is it. Okay, so you get the idea now. It just works with everything is about sections and columns and then the widgets inside of it. But let me do this quickly so you see how I do this, how I create this. Come over here, single section, single column section. Then I'm going to drag in a header. I'm going to center this, a divider, and then a text editor. Okay, get the divider. Okay, and get a text editor. Drag this guy up. Let's add some room to this section. Click on this, advanced. Okay, so what else? What else? What else? Then we add an inner section with 3 columns, right? Let's bring the inner section. Inner section. We need 3 columns. So I'm just gonna right click and duplicate the column. And now we have 3. So let's go ahead and edit some of these things first. What my clients say. So this is like a testimonial section. Okay, cool. Drag these just to save time. I can copy and paste from here, or I could also do that from here. Either one works. So I go over here to styling, choose the black color. Then on the typography, I'm going to make this 35. Weight, I'm going to choose 300. This guy, let's make him smaller. Let's do 5%. And let's remove the spacing he has. And this guy, let's see what it is here. Okay, he's okay. Okay, now before we work on these 3 sections, let's add a background image. Click on the section, go to style, background type, classic, and then an image. Choose the image. Choose an image, choose an image, choose an image, choose an image. Let's choose this one. Insert media. Position. Let's do center. And let's make size cover. We don't want it to repeat. And it is also going to be fixed. It doesn't scroll. Because if you check it out here, it doesn't scroll. It is fixed. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. And for the overlay, they have a white overlay. So we're also going to use a white overlay for our own background. Click on the background overlay. Background overlay. Come on, what's going on? Cool. Classic color, white. Boom, there you have it. One thing though is that their white looks very, very white. So let's increase this overlay opacity to say 0.7. That's more like it. But let's say 0.8. Even better. So let's leave it at 0.8. Update our changes. And then work on these three columns here. What they have here basically is the text editor and then an image. Okay, so let's do that. Click on this plus icon, plus sign here to open up the widgets. Then we're going to drag a text editor inside of it. Doesn't look like I did anything, so let me do that again. Grab my text editor and bring him in here. Sorry guys, looks like my network is being is interrupting this flow, but it's cool, everything is getting good again. So we have a text editor in that column. Cool. We see that the text is centered, very, very centered. So let's do that. Go to style and we center it. Before I continue, okay, let's add a color first to this text and make it black. I just want to make this overlay even whiter than it is already. So I'm going to go back to this section here. And on the overlay opacity, let me do 1.0.9. Okay, I think I like this. So I'm going to leave it at 0.9. Text editor and then an image. Okay, do we have an image we can use? Let's see. Okay, let me quickly do one or two things here. The color of this text doesn't look very black, so let's edit that. Let's use this instead. And let's increase the font size. Uh-oh, did I use green? I'm gonna change that. I wanted to use the deep gray. Seventeen should be cool. R16 looks better. Update that. The next thing we want to do now is to see how we can add the image that they have under the text. Okay, so they have this image. So let's see how we can make this image. Okay, the name, and then let's do something here. Okay, let's bring in, you may want to bring in this image. Okay, drag it in here. By the way, let me quickly say this. If you have the Elementor Pro, if you have the Elementor Pro, you can do this thing without. What we are doing right now is trying to find a way to use what is available to us to create a testimonial section. In the Elementor Pro, testimonial widgets is available right here. So you just drag that in and put in your content, and that will be all. But because we don't have that, we're trying to make do with what we have to create that. Okay, so drag in the image. I thought I already did that. Let's drag an image somewhere else. Now, if you have a image that is a perfect square, let me see. I don't think I have any perfect square right here. But if you have a perfect square image, first of all, you can actually edit your image in any Photoshop or any photo editor and make it round. Okay, but if you have a perfect square, you can always use the styling to make it round by adding a radius, a border radius of 100. Let's go 100% should make it a perfect circle if you had a perfect square. But I don't have a perfect square, that's why I don't have a perfect circle. So let's go back here and see if I can force a perfect square. Image size, let me go to custom and see if I can force a perfect square there. 300, 300, apply. Mm, let's wait for it and see what happens. Okay, it is still not a perfect square. So to get a perfect circle, just make your edits outside Elementor with a photo editor suite, a photo editing suite. Then you can bring in your work here. Or if you have a perfect square, you can. Okay, I think we have a perfect square now, and that enabled us to have a perfect circle. But ours is too much. So let's see if we can reduce the width of this image to say 100. Still too big. 50. How is that looking? Let's do 20. Okay, 20 is fine. And what else? Let's remove some. margin the top. Okay, so while they have their own names and other contents at the right side of the image, I'm going to have mine at the bottom of the image. Okay, go to the widgets, hold and drag one, take this guy off. I think they have, yeah, the name is colored, so we are going to make our own the same. Let's leave it at blue, make it smaller. Okay, give the text some room. Then we can bring in, or we can actually duplicate this. To paste in the other stuff, but this one would not be blue, it has to be black, or should I say gray. Okay, and let's reduce the weight. Let's lift him up a bit. 10. All right. Okay, so we have our own testimonial section. Okay, so what we can do now is to duplicate this guy, three times, or rather two times, afterwards we can remove these other two columns that are empty. So let's do that. And remove this guy. Update our changes. Okay, while we wait for this guy to load, okay, he's already here. Let's scroll down and see what it looks like. Okay, that's cool. That is very cool. So a website is just a page filled with content, and this content could be text, there could be images, could be buttons, icons, videos, and all that stuff. But the laying out of this content is what makes it beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna skip this part, but I don't want you to skip it. It's just, I mean, it's too easy. The straight column, right? I think they have a padding of 50 up and 50 down, and then they have this text that is green, and then they add a background to this section, uh, a green background. So that's too cheap, too easy. What I'm going to do instead is this gallery, just to show you how it is done. I'm also going to skip this last section because it's very similar to what we did here. Similar to what we did here. So I'm going to skip that and just do the gallery. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this also. So let's do the gallery first. Gallery, okay. A new section with single column. Add some room, some padding, top and bottom. I'm not going to add this, watch my gallery and all of this. You already know how to do this. I'm just going to bring in the gallery straight up. Click on this to open the widgets. Then I'm going to just search for gallery. And here is this basic gallery. I'm just going to click and pull it in here. Okay, so we have a gallery, but we have no images selected. So we're going to click on this to add images. Let's add our images, 6 of them. I think that's what they have. One, two, three, four, five, 6. We've got 6 already. Okay, we've used this image once. Let's use another one. Which ones haven't we used yet? Haven't used this one yet. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cool. Create a new gallery. You can add captions if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to insert gallery. Okay, now we see that our gallery is not looking cool at all. So the first thing I want to do is to change how many columns are in a row of the gallery. I'm going to do 3 because I believe that's what they've got here. If you go back here, you see they have 3, 1, 2, 3 images. So I changed that to 3. The next thing I want to do is to remove thumbnail. I don't want it to be thumbnails. So I'm going to choose full. I have already set all my gallery images to be the same dimensions. Okay, you can also do the same for your gallery. So cool, our gallery is looking great already. I'm going to update my changes. It's looking just like what we've got here. it's good to note that if you want to add spacing between your images, you can do that. Okay, you can add spacing between your images. You can there's a default lightbox effect. To add space between your images, go to your style. Oh, okay. I don't think we have that option anymore. Do we still have that option? Okay, yes, we have spacing. Okay, so you see, I just added the custom spacing automatically 15. You can increase or reduce that however you want. Okay, so if I want to reduce that to 5, I could just make that 5 here. I see that spacing is little. I could also want to increase that to 25. Now we have more spacing, but I don't want to add spacing here. So I'm going to leave it at default and update changes. Okay, so that is that for gallery. So it is not a hard thing to do. Let's look at our changes. Next, I'm going to show you how to work with icons. I'm going to skip this part just because it is so easy. It is what we've done before. They have a single section with 2 columns, and there is one column by the right is empty. The column by the left has a heading, has a divider, and has a text editor. The background image is set to fixed. That is why it doesn't scroll. It is so easy, you can do that. So let that be your little task to do. Now let me also just jump in and do this so you see how it is done. I'm also going to leave out this connect with me and this divider and this stuff. I've done that more than once. You know how to do that already. So let's do this. Okay, but let's quickly look at our gallery and see how it is looking. Okay, looking great. Click on any of them. Boom, we have a beautiful gallery pop up. Boom, great, great, and great. Awesome. So that is how to get that done. We didn't waste much time there because it's actually very easy to do. Next, let us add another. It's going to be a single section. When you're doing this, use a single section with single column, and then drag in a inner section. Single section with single column will enable you add this. Then you drag in an inner section to add this. Okay, so that is that. So single section with single column. Let's add some padding. Top and bottom. Let's add some widgets. And what we want to add is the inner section. Click and drag. Okay, then click on again to bring in the icons. You could bring in individual icons, but this very icon here is I perceive is done with something called an icon box. A variant of that is what is known as an image box. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So when you want to use a single icon, you can use an icon box. But when you want to have an icon and a heading and some paragraph, then you want to go, these are the pro widgets. Okay, they are all locked, can't be used till you buy the pro widget, the pro element or rather. So this is an icon box, this is an image box. If you see, it has this icon and then there is a heading and there is, just shows you that you can add more than icon, you can add some text. So let's bring it in here to this column. Okay, so you see that we have an icon, a heading, and a paragraph, just like it is here. So now let's style this and make it look good. They have the heading set called address. Let's do that here. Call this address. Call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna copy and paste street name. Okay, so you see there is a default view and there is a stacked view and there is a framed view. The stacked view will look something like what these guys have over here. Okay, and this is it right here. You can edit to make to add hover effects, but there's also the framed view here which adds some kind of border around it. Let's go back to the stacked view. To change the icon, there is this, what is this? I don't know what that is, but it tells an icon for address. Most people use mostly I will use a map pin. There is a phone icon, there is an envelope icon, there is a calendar icon. Okay, but what we are working with now is an address. So let's change to it. To change the icon, just click on this. Search for any icon you want by name if you know the name, or just go individually and scroll up and down till you find what you're looking for. I'm just going to type in pin here or map instead. Alright, map pin comes up. Okay, here is it. The icon that they used is this one's. I'm going to use this one instead. I click insert and there you have it. What else can I do here? Let's go to the styling and see what we can do to the hover effect. Here, here they have a light background and then a green icon. On hover, the icon is now white and then there is a green background. So let's do the light gray background. Primary color and secondary color is what we're working with. So let's do the gray. That's not the kind of gray I need. Let's do this. Okay, let's do a blue here. Okay, just like what they have got here. Okay, so on hover, we want to switch that up and make the background to become blue. The background is the primary one, and then we want to make the icon to become white. That's the secondary. So you see that? It's more like what they've got here. Okay, so you've seen how to do just that, and that's all. That's all basically. What you can do now is to duplicate this section, or rather this column, till you get the number of columns you need. They make use of 4, so let's get 4. And delete this one. So what you can do now is to go into each column individually and change the icons, change the headings, and change the text. Okay, so you want the telephone, you add the telephone here, email, business hours, and all that stuff. So that is it, guys. um, right now I'm sure you are able to build an amazing website. If you have any questions, please drop your questions on the comments. I'm going to go through them. And if you have anything else you'd like to learn, let me know. And if it is in line with what we are doing here, I am going to create a tutorial just for that. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial so far. I hope you've gotten value from it. Please share the word about it and let others also benefit from that. Okay, let's quickly look at what we've created. We've understood how WordPress works, how to use Elementor, how Elementor works basically, how to work with images and videos and icons. Okay, see how amazing your website is that you have made. Okay, I really want you to play along, follow along the videos. If you don't have a web hosting or web a domain name and hosting, you can use WP Jelly. I have a video showing you how to do that. Just make sure you practice so that you can be good at this. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.